Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Bree. Today is going to be all the books I read in the month of June. I had probably the best reading month I've had this year. I feel like each month I keep saying that, but I've just been in my reading groove. Like, I've been finding books I really like. I've been just reading a lot more, and I don't know. I've been happy with this reading year. 2023 as a whole has thrown some curveballs, but the reading has made up for those curveballs. Hi, Pippi. The boys have decided to join me, and I can tell they're about to just tussle. They're feeling crazy, so if you hear some craziness, apologies in advance. Anyway, so yeah, I have a handful of books here to talk to you about, and I'm just really excited to chat about them because I have some gems this month. Also, if you haven't watched, I did do a tier ranking video, which most of these are in that video as well, so you can also kind of see where I view them on the scale of what I liked throughout the whole year that I've read so far, and that might give you an idea of my reading in general, but also when I talk about books where they kind of rank overall in my reading. So yeah, there's that video. I'm really proud of it, so that's why I'm talking about it. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So I have 3 that I don't own and I had read just on ebooks, so I want to talk about those first because I will forget them if I don't start with those. So the first one is A Botanist Guide to Parties and Potions by Kate Kavari. This is a historical mystery series that had been on my TBR for a long time, and then Libra was doing I guess I listened to this one. Yeah, so Libra was doing their big sale for the shop local book sale. So I got it through my local bookstore, and it was like very discounted, so I got like 6 audiobooks. And so I took a chance on this one because it had been one I wanted to read for a long time, but as I've said in the past, if you've been watching my videos, historical mystery can be a kind of hit or miss for me. Even though I like the genre as a whole, a lot of them turn out to be just like middle of the road. And this is what that one was for me, so I'm glad I got it on the discount audiobook. I did enjoy the audiobook, and I think I will continue with the series. I just don't have any rush to own it, really. And also, I wouldn't say it's a new favorite, but I could broadly recommend this one if you are looking to get into historical mystery. It's got a science aspect, so we're following our main character, who she works at this college that is really hard for her to get into. It's set in, I think, the 1920s. If not, it's like 1919 or something like that. As a woman, it was hard for her to get into this, but her family, her father was a botanist, and she's kind of following in his footsteps. And one day, I guess you would call him like mentor that she works with, he is accused of a murder that happens at a party that they're at. And it was a poison, and she wants to prove that he was innocent, and using her knowledge of potions. Why was I going to say potions? Because the name of botany, that's the word, she is going to help figure it out. And then there's a bit of a romance between this other man there who she kind of partners up with. And so if you like a sleuthing duo, I did enjoy them as a sleuthing duo. And yeah, she's kind of just like underestimated because of her role as a woman in this college. It's just very much trying to figure out who's capable of this while constantly being underestimated. There is a bit of some like trigger warnings. So yeah, so just take care of yourself, look up some trigger warnings. Mystery is just one of those genres that really has a lot of triggers, I think. So there was that one. I would say middle of the road. I enjoyed it, and I could broadly recommend it. And then I read Murder Under a Red Moon, which is the second to the Bangalore Detectives Club. This is the first one. Under a Red Moon is the second one. It's by Harini Nagendra, and it takes place in Bangalore, India in the 1920s. In the series, we follow Kaveri. Mainly it's her perspective, and then her husband Ramu. And really, it's interesting because the series is called Kaveri and Ramu, but it's much more about Kaveri and like her group of women friends that kind of make up this Bangalore Detectives Club. And her husband is involved, but I just find it interesting that it's that. And I absolutely fell in love with the Bangalore Detectives Club. It's just a really fun mystery. The mystery itself, not over the top, not anything crazy. I think the second one I enjoyed more than the first one in terms of mystery, but the mysteries are not the focus for me. I think the characters and the place, the setting, and the descriptions of setting and food and all that are really what draw me to the series. And the second one was really good. I think I liked the first one more, But I did really enjoy the second one. I enjoyed getting to see the friendships progress and just like the dynamics between all the women. And in this, you get to know a little bit more about her mother-in-law. And I liked the growth of that dynamic. It's a really good series, and I'm really happy I found it because I think it's probably second place to Rexford and Sloane for me, which is crazy because I've been trying to find a series that's as good as my lovely Rexford and Sloane. So, and then I picked up Small Miracles by Olivia Atwater. This is a new release. I think it came out in March of 2023, and I love Olivia Atwater. She wrote the Half a Soul. It's the Regency Fairy Tales series. Half a Soul is my favorite book of the year so far, so I've just been eating up anything she writes, and so I picked up Small Miracles, and it's a really fun, like, I guess you would call like urban fantasy romance. I don't know if it would be categorized as romance, but there's definitely a romance in it. It's following this angel Gadriel, and they are kind of a fallen angel, so something happened in their past where they can just see Pippi's tail flicking. Yeah, you want to join me? And they are now on Earth, and they have to work with this other angel to kind of help people, and they're an angel known for like small sins, so like they would try to get people to like eat a piece of chocolate because chocolate is a sin, but it's not a big sin. I am sorry for this. It's very distracting, but he's so cute. I'm not going to move him. So they are assigned to this one person who she is like very, very low on the sin ratio. She is almost too good. And so they're sending Gadriel to kind of work with her to like make her go slightly more to the sin side because they think something's weird. Like no one is this good. When they go, they just get wrapped up in like this bigger thing that's happening with angels and humans and stuff, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed the way that Olivia Atwater writes romance. It's a very slow burn romance, but you just see the build throughout it, and I really enjoy it. I thought it was funny. I was laughing out loud with it the whole time. I was entertained throughout the whole thing, so I really wouldn't change a thing about it. I absolutely loved it. And I think that more people should be talking about it because I think it's a softer fantasy romance that a lot of people could like. I highly recommend it. If you're looking for a new fantasy romance that's on the lighter side, all of hers are, I guess, would you call it chaste? Like there's no real like smut scenes or anything. And they're all slow burn. So loved that. And then speaking of Olivia Atwater, I also read Long Shadow by Olivia Atwater, which is sad because I think this makes it my last one, except for I can read the novellas in the series, which I think I will do. And this is the third in the Regency Fairy Tales one. And I love this one too. I would say the second and third are not as good to me as Half a Soul, but they still have this charm to them. And this one is following one of the characters from the first one, and it is got more of a mystery element to it. Our main character is trying to solve what's going on in the town with these girls that are going missing. And that's the thing I like about these books, is there always is the romance, but there's always another plot happening. And I really enjoyed the plot of this one. And some of it I saw like coming, but I thought the way everything was executed and the slow build to everything was just really well done. And I would highly recommend the audiobooks if you like audiobooks. I think that the voices and stuff are really fun. And there is like a little ghost boy in here as well that is just so sweet. And I had a really good time with this one. So I'm really sad to be done with this series. And I really want her to come out with more because I would just like keep reading these forever and ever. Truly. So then, on a different note, we have The Cabinet of Dr. Ling by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. This is the 21st book in the Pendergast series. And I don't know how to talk about this series. It's like an action movie in a thriller, like a thriller action movie in a book. That's what these are. But really, it's like, I just think the pacing of them, they really know how to keep me reading and keep the mystery intriguing, and they just get wild and crazy, and they're very over the top, like unrealistic plots, but I just eat them up. Most of this book I was thinking like, oh, this is good. I usually enjoy reading them, but I wasn't like, oh, this is not blowing me away. Maybe this series is like hitting its peak. And then the last 100 pages were like, what is happening? And then the last page, my jaw dropped. What is happening? What are we doing here? And it's gonna get crazy. The next one is gonna be crazy. So they just get me. They're like if I was watching a thriller movie, and I love eating that up in the summer, just, yeah. So they're my guilty pleasure, and I will be continuing the series. This one was crazy. Better than the last one, in my opinion. So there we go. Then we have a very different kind of book, and that's Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This is part of the Wayfarer series. This is the first one. I read Becky Chambers' A Song for the Wild Bill and A Prayer for the Crown Shy last year and absolutely loved them. They made my top books of the year. They're like a cozy, gentle sci-fi about a monk and a robot and just learning what humans need and like talking about life and friendship, and it was so sweet and I really loved it. And this one is also a found family. It's got a lot of elements that I think if you like cozy books, you'd really like this. People have talked about it as cozy sci-fi, and I totally see that. It's about a group of wayfarers. They are on a ship, and basically the ship is asked to go this dangerous territory that had been war-torn for a while and open up portals so that the government that they are helping can like bring supplies through, because there's supposed to be peace treaties on that planet now. And so it's dangerous because they have to time jump, and this is also like a kind of dangerous area. So it's just about their journey, and it's a really soft, slow kind of story, where we're just getting to know all these characters and they're coming together, and it's about their friendship and their like dynamics on the ship. If you're more of a sci-fi reader, this could appeal to you. The thing that really held me back from like loving it quite as much as like A Song for the Wild Bill is that it's just very sci-fi. It's very technical. Like there's a lot about how the ship works, the dynamics on the ship, things like that. And for a lot of other books, this will work for me. Like if you were talking to me about, like in the Rexford and Sloan, it like talks about how the science works, and I really like that. But there's something about technology and space adventure and like spaceships and talking about how spaceships work that you just lose me. And I've never been into it. Like I've read a couple different versions of this or watched movies, and just space stuff, I don't know what it is. Space adventure just doesn't appeal to me. So I think that's what made me like not fully love it, but I just fell for the characters a lot. So I think I will continue the series because I really like how Becky Chambers writes. There's so much diversity in the characters and so much to think about. And like with this, there's so many different species, and like you're getting kind of like their backstories, their histories, the way they see the world, and I find that also fascinating. I just think this space adventure, the spaceship, space part is not as much for me. But like I said, if you like sci-fi and you like those things, I think this is a great cozy sci-fi to try, especially if you like something like Legends and Lattes and stuff. It has more high stakes than Legends and Lattes, but it's got that same cozy vibe. So I would recommend it for sure. It was definitely a really good book. It was just one of those things where the sci-fi isn't quite as much for me, but I see the merits of the book. Okay, then we have The Bandit Queens by Prini Shroff. This is so good. I love this book. I picked this up kind of on a whim, just because I heard a couple of people talking about it, and to me it felt like Finlay Donovan a little bit vibes, because in this we're following Geeta, and her husband walked out on her, like I think it was like 5 years previous, and everyone in the town believes she killed him because he was never found again. And she just lets everyone kind of believe this. She's like, yeah, well, it works for me. Everyone kind of leaves me alone. And so she's fine with this until some other women in the town come to her and they want her to help them kill their husbands. And in this book, there's a lot of dark stuff happening. Like there's domestic abuse and things like that, and just like things that happen to women. And it's very much paired with this humor and these like friendships and dynamics between these women that just are so entertaining to read about. It's so true to like how women can interact with each other. It's just so real and human. And so I thought this was so interesting because it's like if you took Finlay Donovan and you made it literary fiction. So you have commentary, you have things that are happening that are bad, but you have this funny, wholesome, campy feel to it. It was so good. It was one of the best books I've read this year. I highly recommend it. It's a new release. It's a debut novel, and it's so amazing that this is a debut author because just the writing in it is so strong and the characters were so strong. Yeah, I really, really loved it. It was so good. There were parts I'm laughing out loud, especially towards the end. There's a scene that just had me like laughing constantly. It was so funny and so good. And so I think if you like literary fiction and you kind of want to get into the mystery genre, maybe try this. But also if you just like literary fiction, I think this could appeal to you. And if you like mystery and you want to try some literary fiction, I think it goes both ways. But I would highly suggest picking it up. Though, do check trigger warnings and stuff like that, as I said in the beginning. Okay, we have 2 more books. Next I have The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. This is a Japanese translated book about these memory police who come, and basically in the night you'll wake up the next day and something will be gone from the island that they're on. So it could be roses one day, or the next day it could be boats. Basically, people can remember the name, but they don't remember the feeling about the thing. They just kind of don't care about it anymore and don't have the memories that they associate with it anymore. And there are some people who still remember, who don't lose their memories, and the memory police are in charge of making sure everything from this object is disposed of and making sure that the people who do remember are removed and they are taken somewhere else. And our main character, her mother was taken when she was really young, and she ends up helping a coworker who she finds out does remember, and it's just her journey on thinking about the memory police and like their place in society and like what's actually going on. It's a very slow kind of book, and I think it's very interesting because it's just slowly showing you how little things over time add up to be something way bigger, but how it's almost like that frog. If you put a frog in hot water, it's going to jump out, but if you put a frog in and just let the water slowly come up to a boil, it will die because it doesn't realize that that is what's happening to it. It's that kind of feeling of just how much slowly over time they can take over and people don't really even question it. And so it's got this eerie feel to it. It was really good, except for there's these parts because their main character's a writer and it's about her writing this book while you're reading it. And I saw where they were connecting, like the themes were kind of connecting, but I didn't care for like the book inside the book. I just don't think it added very much to the story for me. But I think overall it just was a little slower paced than I would have liked. And I didn't like the book inside the book. So I would put it like in the middle of the road kind of books for me. As a whole, the commentary was so interesting. And the way it ended like came full circle. And I just really liked how that was handled. It was just a little meandering and slow for me. And to end out my books, I've got The Magician's Daughter by H.G. Perry. This is another 5-star for me. I picked this up kind of on a whim. We were at Barnes & Noble and it was on the table. I just read the back and thought this was for me because it said something about an island off the coast of Ireland and there was magic and this girl is not supposed to leave, and I was hooked. And man, this is like one of those where a cover buy sucked me in and then became a new favorite. Like it was a hidden gem, if you will. I don't know if it was hidden because it was like right in front of my face, but you know, it was an unexpected gem. That's it. So this is following Biddy, and she has never left this island that she's on. She knows that one day she washed up on shore on this island, and her father figure, Rowan, took her in and raised her as his own. And he has magic, and he also has a familiar named Hutchincroft, who is a rabbit, but can like kind of transform into a human kind of figure, but it's like very hard to do, so he doesn't do it all the time, so most of the time he spends in rabbit form. She just grows up on this island kind of not really knowing what the rest of the world is like, and she wants to explore the rest of the world, and she keeps just kind of being told, one day when you're older you'll be able to go. And then one day Rowan comes back and he is very injured and something more is going on, and she finally gets him to kind of open up about what is going on. My cat has absolutely lost it. Pippi, I just need you to hold it together for like 5 more minutes, okay? 2. I'll talk quick, okay? You just gotta keep it together a little bit. So finally she gets to leave the island and this whole big mystery unravels, and it is just, it's a historical also. I think it's like supposed to be in the 1910s. It's a whole big thing about Rowan's past and magic and what is really going on in the world. And it was really well done. I really like the pacing of it. While it seemed a little slow at the beginning, I think that just the way the story builds, I really liked. Even though the plots aren't exactly the same, there's something about this small, contained fantasy story that really calls to me. It's got a lot of like big world ramifications, but yet it feels small, and I really enjoyed the found family aspects of this. I really enjoyed reading from Biddy's point of view because she's just now going out into the world and experiencing other people for the first time. It's only been her and Rowan and Hutchincroft this whole time. So when she has to go out into the world, you get to experience the world from her point of view. There's a lot she has to deal with and a lot she has to learn about her guardian's past and her past and things like that. And so it was one of those things where I didn't expect to love it as much, but by the end, I had wholly fallen in love with it. Nothing but good things to say about it. And I think it's been underhyped as well. Like, it's a new release. I think it also came out maybe in March. I feel like not enough people are talking about it, but it was really good. If you like historical fantasy, I think it'd be a good one. But also if you like kind of a smaller scale fantasy, you don't like an epic fantasy, I think this one is also a good one. So there you have it. Those are all the books I read in the month of June. And I just want to say thank you for watching. And if you want to leave a comment down below what you read this month, maybe your favorite, and one you would most recommend to other people, leave that down in the comments. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, I will see you next time.